Sounds good.
because now we are live on Live with MLC. Jared, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely.
For the folks joining in, I think I started this a little early, so hoping I didn't get cut off. We'll leave it up on the channel afterwards so you guys can replay it. My name is Philip Morrow. I'm a Technical Solutions Manager here at MLC, and I use this space to learn from my colleagues, to learn from the different experts I have access to about the different solutions that MLC offers. And today we got a cool one because it's completely proprietary to MLC. Um, Jared here is one of the technical experts of it. And Jared, for just folks watching, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jared. I'm Philip's counterpart for the Eastern region. So me and him work on similar wavelengths with our sales teams, just trying to make sure that we're providing the correct solutions for the people we work with.
Yeah, I guess we're the guys out of the South. I'm in Austin, Texas. Jared's in Lafayette, Louisiana. So we're both down in the South. I came to MLC on simulation stuff, but now I touch everything, and I have my hands in data management quite a lot, especially with SOLIDWORKS PDM. Jared, you're kind of across the board now too. Do you have a specialty? The data
Yeah,
management?
definitely on the data management side of things, as well as our dedicated server offering and the EQUIVAQ portfolio. So, but
Okay.
before MLC, kind of talking a little bit about what our backgrounds are and whatnot. I've got a strong background in manufacturing. Did a lot of design work there in oil and gas equipment, and then also a bit of manufacturing management. And then moved on to here, where I've been for about 6 years now.
Yeah, okay. I got you doubled. Yeah. I came here for simulation. I think
Nice
it
flex.
yeah, yeah. When I came for sim, I wanted to learn a lot of it, but I think PDM was just starting with enterprise PDM. We dropped the word enterprise since then. And I'm not
Right.
gonna I mean, today we're talking about stuff that sits on top of PDM. So PDM meaning product data management, the place that we should store our CAD files and control revisions and who has access to them, that kind of stuff. Um, and then for what we're going to look at, EQUIVAQ here, do we need to have PDM in place, and does it need to be standard or professional?
Yeah, so that's a good question to ask up front, and I'll explain what EQUIVAQ is kind of right out of the gate. EQUIVAQ is owned by MLC CAD Systems, and it's a proprietary collection of add-ins and other tools that run inside of SOLIDWORKS PDM. Now, most of those ones that are going to run as a true add-in, those are going to actually require PDM Professional.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
it's
we also have another tool that could be used on a PDM standard vault because it's actually just going to plug into the SQL database and display data in a graphical manner.
so you could
So
do either, I guess, but pretty much it's PDM Pro.
it's pretty much PDM Pro. The only one that can run on a PDM standard environment is the dashboarding tool.
Okay, well that's a cool one because I think I'm going to show your screen. I think you've got that up. So let me
Yeah,
pull that
let me
up.
let me know when it's coming through because I know I can't see on the back end.
I think you're up there now. Yep.
Good
Um,
deal.
yeah.
Cool. So this is a dashboard of PDM. I can't count the times that people have kind of come to me in past years and have been like, hey, I wish I could just have a dashboard of my PDM vault. That way I can see exactly what's going on. Maybe I can get project status really quickly, see who's working on particular things, see if some guy's slacking. I don't know. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, right.
If the information is in the SQL database, you can display it here. So it's very customizable.
Mm.
What I'm displaying here is going to be an example, and I want to make that really clear.
Yeah, yeah, you could mix it up. Well, this is kind of cool because everybody confuses the words, me included, like PDM, data management, and PLM, lifecycle management. And this seems like it bridges into that because you got a dashboard, you can see where things are at in the process. Am I on the right track?
I would, s- yeah, I mean, I would say that the dashboard is a tool that's often found in some PLMs. You might think of SolidWorks Manage, for instance, that has dashboarding
Uh-huh.
capabilities. That's oftentimes um, one of the catalysts that gets people to say, "Man, I really would like to upgrade to SolidWorks manage. That way I could have that way to easily display the graphical data. But I wouldn't say there's a lot of other kind of stuff that kind of bridges the gap between a PDM and a PLM. So
Yeah, I don't
um,
totally understand the dividing line there, but I could see like what we're
it's
seeing now, like as
nuanced.
a yeah, it's pretty nuanced. Like I can see what I'm looking at now as an engineering manager seems like would be a target for this, where I'm like, okay, I can see what files have been checked out for more than a week by who in this custom layout, right? What things are past six
Yeah.
months user transitions, okay?
Or even getting rejected a lot. Like if you have maybe an individual whose stuff gets rejected in your
Yeah.
workflow all the time, you'd probably want to know about that, right?
Yeah, whose
You
drawings
can,
always get kicked back?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can display that kind of stuff very easily to where you've just got a heads up view and you don't have to run an endless stream of PDM searches to try to get the information you need to make decisions that are going to affect how effective your organization is.
Okay.
That's where the power I think is in this. So this is an interactive dashboard as well. So what I mean by that is, for instance, these last 30 days files rejected by user, we can come in and we can filter that out to where maybe we're just showing the stuff that's been affected by Philip. And, now we can come in here, who submitted it. These are all the stuff that's been rejected by him. Ditto for Jared. All of this stuff is filterable. Same thing for all the files, all the charts that are showcasing what's been checked out or which ones are in private state. And one of the really nice things that sets this tool apart from anything else in its space is the really nice integration that it has with the PDM Vault. So for instance, maybe I'm coming in and I'm reviewing some of this stuff and I see that some of this stuff's been rejected. I can click Browse To, and that is a direct link into my PDM environment, and it'll take me right where I need to go. So I can see
Ah.
immediately, what I'm dealing with inside of the actual PDM vault. Now, I'm just showcasing Browse To, but you can also place quite a few other PDM functions, such as, show the data card, check out, check in. You can even, send things through for approval. The actual operation happens within your local vault view. So I want to just make a quick distinction there. But accessing this dashboard, believe it or not, does not actually require a PDM license.
Really? And I
So
noticed you're doing this dashboard in a web browser?
yeah.
That
So great thing to point out. This is just accessed through a web browser. So that means that, however many people you want to have access to this, they can access it through um, a Chromebook if you want it to be, an iPad, an iPhone, anything with a browser can display this sort of information.
what
A
end do
smart
you
board on your shop floor, maybe something like that.
and it doesn't eat a PDM license up. So you could give this, okay, I got you. You could give it to somebody
Yeah,
completely outside of engineering if you wanted.
absolutely. Yeah, and one of that kind of segues into a really nice use case that I see for this. This is an engineering changes dashboard. Okay, so I can kind of think of a couple of use cases for having something like this on a shop floor, where you can see the status of all of your changes that are
Hmm.
that are currently happening, which ones are completed, which ones are work in process, and you can even see the affected files from here. So, if a change, gets created that day, that morning, this is going to display right there, and you can see immediately the affected files, what the revision is,
Hmm.
along with, any kind of trending that you may want to show. The possibilities are really endless. You have to think, I'm gonna kind of kick this back to anybody who's watching this. You've got to think about the information that's relative and important to your organization. What are you managing by? What metrics? Or hopefully you're using metrics. And if not, this can help you to do it even better.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show me how you get the info in too as well, because somebody starts a change order, somebody has to identify an issue, and then somebody goes, yeah, we're gonna fix it. Somebody has to collect all this info and go, these are all the affected files, and these are all things that need to change, right?
That's right. That's right. So that brings us into a bridge here where we can talk about some of the add-ins that EQUIVAQ features. So without further ado, I'll kind of jump into that. I'm going to run through a change process is what I'm going to end up doing. So for those of you who've been in the SolidWorks ecosystem for a while, you may have seen this model before. It's a classic. This is our 4240 hydraulic spreader. And this particular assembly has already been released. And what we've found is that, unfortunately, this arm is a bit on the weak side. So we want to thicken that arm up, and we want to run through an appropriate kind of change process as we do that. Okay.
All right, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, many folks in the PDM professional space have a pretty developed change process. Okay. That's one of the great things about PDM. You can really tailor your workflows, and you can have an unlimited number of those workflows. So what I'm going to showcase is one way that we can run through that kind of process. So I'm just going to right click, say File, New, and I'm going to run what they call a PDM template. So
Okay.
this is PDM Professional.
I was going to say, that's a
right.
PDM Pro function, right? Like you could make this for any number of clicks you normally make in like Windows Explorer. You can kind of programmatically tell PDM Professional, just make it a right click. Like we make a new change request, we know we want this information entered, we know we want, you know, these Excel sheets grabbed and a new folder made and dropped in that folder, that kind of stuff, right?
That's exactly right. So this isn't anything outside of the capabilities of PDM Pro, but I'm just showcasing, you know, the whole story here. So what's going to happen as we create this, it's going to grab the next serialized number, so it keeps you standardized, conforming to the standard. And then what we have is our change file. So I'm just going to this is using a particular type of change file. It's called an XML type of change file. So cool thing about that is they hardly take up any space, and you can have a built-in preview directly within inside of your PDM environment. Now, one of the most important pieces of information that you have to capture when you're running a change document is you have to capture which items are affected.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier. I was like, all right, whose job is it though to look at this then and go, okay, I know everything that possibly needs to change, and then go put it on here.
Yeah, and that's typically a very manual copy and paste type of job. You know, it's very manual in nature. You just have to hand jam in all the information, right? So the app that I'm going to showcase is going to automate that process. It's going to put the affected files into the affected items list in the change document. And the other thing that's going to happen is, and this is going to I'm going to get fairly technical here, okay? So I'm jumping into the PDM admin tool.
That's cool.
Right? Here's our workflow. You know, I'm assuming that the majority of people that are tuning into this have probably seen a PDM workflow before, so I'm not going to do too much explanation. But we've got files that are in the released workflow state right now. And what we want to do is we want to generate that change order. But one of the things that people often don't want to happen is they don't want to let people move stuff out of the released workflow state if it doesn't have a change number associated with it. Okay? So what I'm saying by that, if I come in and I look at my data card of this file and go to change info, see where there's a space for change number. Oftentimes people don't want those files. This is just kind of a built-in safety. They don't want stuff to get out of released where it can be edited if it doesn't have a change number associated with it.
Right. Okay.
So one of the things people do is inside of the transition itself, they'll go ahead and they'll put a condition so that, you know, this files can't move through here without an engineering change number value.
So, and you've created just in the system EC numbers like a regular attribute or property. You made a space for it on the data card.
That's exactly right.
I got you.
So this is something that I see fairly widely used. Okay, it's just PDM Pro functionality, but it's a great feature, and it helps you enforce, you know, change control is what it does. So the bad thing about that, though, is that you have to rely on your engineers before they push anything to come in and backfill manually an engineering change number. Okay. Again, I'm going to show you how that's automated here right up next. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to flip into our change process. This is our change process. As soon as the engineering change document gets created, goes into change ECR submitted. Okay. So that's just like a staging area. It's waiting to see, hey, is this legit, or are we going to reject it? So we can either immediately reject it and say it's no good, or we can send it to engineering to build out that package.
I think a lot of even PDM Pro users probably aren't familiar with using multiple workflows.
Yeah,
Most of them, I would say. And so, I mean, I've seen this done where you could have it like, oh, it recognizes, say, the file type, like maybe make a new XML file, so it goes to this. Or I've seen
for sure.
conditions as well, where like if the title of the file has this in it, then we know it goes to this workflow and not the CAD workflow.
That's right.
Are you
Yeah, you
using?
can do all that craziness. You can do that with categories. So the way we have this one set
Ah,
up, and again, let me know if I'm diving too deep in the technical
no,
weeds
that's
here
interesting
for
to
the
me.
purpose of this. But yeah, so this is looking for it's an or condition. So if either of these are satisfied, it's basically looking for anything that's made with an Excel
Gotcha. So
file
you,
extension.
I got you. You right-clicked and said, okay, let me run this template, create a new change order. It generated that file type with ECR in the name, dropped it in there. The system knows then that goes to that second workflow. It's not a CAD file, it's a ECR file.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And we do services like this all the time as well. So, we are constantly evolving and, creating additional configurations for people to better suit their business
Yeah.
needs. That's how I like to think of it. So, to continue on with this kind of process, right now we've got an ECR that's been submitted, and we need to basically come in and say if this is either rejected or it's approved. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send this thing to engineering. Right. Who do you think should do this? All right, Philip, thanks for raising your
I don't know,
hand.
man. I saw that
All right.
dashboard you made of me earlier. It doesn't look like I complete much work at all, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry that negatively reflected you. Maybe we'll try to fix this by giving you some additional
Okay, maybe the
tasks.
stats will
So,
improve.
so one of the cool things you can do with PDM Pro is you can automate email notifications. Okay, so you see how I have Philip's name checked here? Awesome.
Hmm.
He's going to get an email now whenever I send this. And he's going to be kept in the loop and be like, okay, I need to build out this change package.
Okay.
But, and this is something that happened at the very company that I used to work at, okay? I've seen people have rules set up in Outlook to where it automatically deletes email notifications from PDM because they get too many of them, okay? It's just part of the deal. Maybe that doesn't happen in everyone's company, but I've certainly seen it, or maybe they just accidentally delete it and forget to follow through. How do you know who was notified?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's not traceability
Yeah.
there. Exactly. There's no traceability. You can see that the transition occurred, but you don't know necessarily, and you can't necessarily prove who actually was notified. So this is an add-in that I'm going to display here called Assign with Notifications. Okay, and this can be really helpful with task management or file management. Who's the next action owner for a particular stage in the workflow? So I'm going to go ahead and hit change state, right? And notice how we have this nice assigned to column. Well,
Ah.
notice how Philip's name just popped into that. So this might seem like kind of meh if you're doing it to one file. But when you're doing that to like, I don't know, 50 something files, that would get pretty
Yeah.
redundant to have to type in Philip's name on every single one of those
And
files.
knowing PDM, I know that that's searchable now too, because that's an attribute. So I could
It
search up
is.
everything assigned to
Yes.
Philip. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, on the data card
So
display. That's cool because I can see it now. Like anybody in the shop can go, this part's not thick enough, start a change order. An engineering manager can go, yeah, that's actually a legit thing that needs to change. They can assign the work to an engineer who knows the details. Like, okay, if we change that part, I know that affects these other things.
that's right.
Okay.
And to kind of bring that full circle with how these assignments can work, this could even be used as an end user. An end user, if they get into work in the morning, they could come in and click on their name and see exactly which files are pending
Well,
their
that's
completion.
slick.
Yeah. And all that can be, truncated down. You can browse to the files themselves. I mean, think about it even, and I'm kind of rambling here, I admit, but I get kind of excited when I talk about this sort of stuff because you can drill down if you're a project manager, for instance, and you're trying to figure out, well, what's the status for some of my projects? You can truncate that down and say, okay, all the stuff is released for this particular project. Awesome. And all of this is work in process or a mix and match of them.
Okay.
So there's a lot of use cases here for end users, project managers, engineering managers. even all the way up to the executive level if they're interested in tracking trends
Yeah.
for
It's
certain
like
things over
it's like
time.
picking your data sources. Have you ever used a Notebook LM? I mean,
I
yeah, you know,
have,
you can pick like, okay, just read from these sections. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. So it's certainly interactive. All right. So Philip's got to build this change package at this point. So I'm not going to log out. I'm just going to act like I'm Jared still, and I'm going to check out our change document.
Yeah.
Cool. At this point, this is what I'm going to showcase next is the automation for the change, for filling out the information in the change form. So what I mean by that is this affected items area. I want to automate that. The stuff that I select is going to get placed into that. And then over here, for the files that are going to be affected themselves, this change info, change number field is going to automatically get filled out.
Okay.
And you can see, we'll be able to see it when it shows up here. I've got a column set that's going to display really nicely.
Okay.
And that when that engineering change number variable shows up here within the files that will be affected, that's like the key that they need to get out of the released state. That way edits can be made.
Right, right. You built that transition kind of protection in. Yeah, I think I'm tracking out because then in the future too, I can come to any file and see what engineering change order was used, why it was changed, or I can go to the engineering change order and see what
Yeah.
files, yeah, it affected.
Connectivity.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
You can immediately see what's affected by what with which change action. Perfect for audits or conforming to whatever kind of quality standard you need to conform to. All right, so cool. Let's get on the ball with this. I'm going to right click this, go to our EQUIVAQ tools, attach references. And what I'm going to do, it's going to bring up a nice window selection, and we can come in and select whatever files are going to be affected by this.
Oh, you just browse and
Okay,
select.
so
That
yeah,
is
so
slick.
PDM Pro, look, I'll be honest here. PDM Pro has the ability to copy and paste as
Mm-hmm.
reference, but it's kind of a manual process. You don't have as convenient, and it also doesn't take care of backfilling information in
Well,
your change document
I think the problem with that stuff
into
too
your
is
files.
training. I mean, like I use PACE as reference, but you got a pool of engineers. It's like how much does everybody have to know about this system to use it? Like it starts with a workflow. You start with like a 10-state workflow, and people are like, "Oh my God, I got to remember how this goes." But you go, "No, just right click, choose change state, and you'll see what the options are." Right? And it seems like all you're doing
Yeah,
here is like, oh, just right click it and pick the thing you want to do. Even if you don't understand all the connections that are being made here, this will work.
that's right. Yeah, so let's see what happened. Okay, I just clicked OK. If I go to my change document now,
Oh yeah.
those files got automatically placed into the affected items. So that's an automation. And whenever you talk about automation, you're talking about two primary benefits. You're talking about it's faster and it's also more accurate
Yeah.
because you're not going to have typos.
Definitely more accurate.
Okay? Easy to understand.
Yeah.
If we flip back over here and refresh, you can see that engineering change number has also been applied to the files in question.
Nice.
Okay, so that gives them the key. They can now move out of that released state so that they can be edited. So we're enforcing standards. We're building in some error checking to make sure we don't just have people doing whatever they want to
Yeah.
do in our vault. All right. All right. So from here, this is kind of a cool thing that you can do with PDM. All right. So right now, the next stage in the workflow, it's right here. Okay. Like this is the state that the engineering change document is in.
Right.
Notice how the transition coming away from it is generate ECO. I'm going to switch into the CAD workflow. Notice how there is a transition named the same thing, generate ECO. All right, so check this out. Because this engineering change document, if we go to the contains tab, because that now has, I'm going to get the latest version of this.
You might need a check-in.
I thought I was already checked in.
I think you still got checked out.
It's like, yeah, it's like it cleared the version on me, I think. Oh well. Anyways, your contains, maybe I can showcase it from over here better. So if I go to
I think the same.
if I go to my transition, I do have to check
Yeah,
in, you
yeah,
dummy.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to tell you, I was like, you know,
All
when you
right.
use PDM, you got to check out stuff when you want to work
Look,
on it. You
I've
got to check it in when you're
I've
done.
only been using this. I've only been using this software for 12 years, so and I still run into things like that every now and
That's
then.
fair. That's
Good
fair. We're all
grief!
still learning. We're all
All
still
right,
learning.
committing changes. That's why we put Philip on here, and it's not just me, so he can make sure I'm not losing my mind. All right, so if we go here, we can see that they're under the Contains tab. We've got the
Yeah.
affected
Their
files,
references,
right?
just like an
All right,
assembly would reference parts, this document references all the things that are affected by it. I got you.
exactly. Yeah, so you can do that kind of thing. The copy and paste as reference gives you that functionality where you can create a link between them. So the design binder add-in that we're talking about does that automatically in addition to doing all the other
Yeah.
functionality and automations that we were
It makes it
talking
a
about.
right click to do all those things you're talking about. Pull the EC number, attach these things
Right.
together. So your end users have to know how to right click and check out and also check in, and then right
That's a
click
big
and
one.
change state. And whatever,
They also need to know how to check files in.
yeah,
So that's
check
another
them in.
prerequisite to most of this.
But yeah, if they right click and change state, you know, you're only going to see the available options next to it when you hit change state. So even though that workflow, I think,
Yeah.
like, it's intense when you're the admin, you look at it, but here you only have one option. So as a
Yeah.
user, that's how it is. You
Yeah,
just
it
right
kind
click.
of simplifies it for your users, makes it more efficient, user friendly. Now, the cool thing that's happening is because these attachments are present, whenever we hit generate ECO, what's going to happen is that the other files that are attached here are also going to show up in this list. But pay attention to something. The files that have not been affected by the change, we can't even transition those if we tried.
Mm.
You can't do it because we have that built-in condition that's requiring a change number to be
Yeah,
put into the
now I see
variable.
why it's a protection. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it keeps people from accidentally. I've ran into this situation countless times where people ask, how can I keep people from, because oftentimes people try to run a transition and everything shows up that's referenced by like a big assembly. Okay. So like this is error proof in that. All right. At this point, we can go ahead and we can notify somebody. I'm going to
Yeah,
notify
fair.
Philip on this one, I guess. And he can go ahead and knock out these changes. You could put a notification in here as well if you needed to. But from here, I think we're pretty much ready to run this thing. Let me just make sure everything's selected. Yeah, that all looks good. So I'll go ahead and hit change state. So this is moving the change document itself as well as the affected files along your workflow, even though they're in separate workflows. Okay. So if I flip back over here to the files themselves, notice how these are all work in process,
Mm-hmm.
and we can knock out whatever kind of modifications we needed to make. So normally at this point in a PDM demo, I would open this up, knock out the change,
Yeah,
and thicken up the webbing of the part. I don't know if you guys want to sit here and watch
I think
this
I
or
could follow
not.
you on that. I'm pretty sharp on my CAD skills, so I get it. You go in
All
and make
right. You
change the
understand the
part.
concept of checking out and checking
Yeah,
in
I think
as
so.
well?
Got to check it
Okay.
in when you're
All
done
right.
working
It's
on
a
it.
tough one.
Yeah.
It is a tough one for some people. All right. So we'll knock out those changes. Cool. Let's go ahead and push this forward. So we're going to say that this is complete. Actually, before I do that, I want to jump back into our dashboard to kind of close the loop on this.
Okay.
So from here, we've got files that were assigned to Philip, and I can even truncate this down by the project. And those are those files.
Oh, that's so nice.
Boom, right
So
there.
you could be looking at
Philip comes
this on the
in.
phone, on an iPad or something.
Yep. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
So Philip might be, Philip usually rolls into the office around 9:30, 10 o'clock. He could come in, pull this up, and immediately see what he's got to work on and just hit, browse to. Okay, this is kind of like my task. All right, that's what I got to go and knock out for the day. Cool. I just wanted to showcase that and also tie it to the fact that the information is also present in the change
Oh
dashboard as
yeah, very
well, where you
nice.
can see the affected files. So if that's on a smart board somewhere, cool. Everybody in the organization can see that kind of stuff if you want them to see. All right. I mean, that's pretty much it. If we say it's complete, you can notify whoever needs to be notified about it.
Yeah, whatever automation from
Um,
there. I know that there's a drawing
yeah,
included. Maybe a PDF gets made, gets dropped in a folder
that's
somewhere.
right. That's right. That's right. So notice also how once it's in the complete state, we're removing that assigned to field.
Okay. You
So
do,
it's not just going to stay there indefinitely. It's only there when it needs
and
to
it
be.
gets cleared on a transition, like when you do a change state.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Since we're talking a couple of the technical things here, I mean, we can talk about how when this transition is run, there is an action that clears the assigned to variable.
Oh yeah, and it's going to
So
clear the
just,
EC number, and because that thing's going to
yeah,
go to Rev B, and if it moves out of Rev B in the future for another change, it's going to get a new EC number.
yeah,
I
exactly,
got it.
exactly. All right. So yeah, that is, those are the, those are the three most valuable assets, I'll say, or add-ins, or tools, solutions, whatever you want to call them within the EQUIVAQ portfolio. Okay, there's quite a few others that are somewhat more specific that certain people will find a lot of value in. I think every organization can find value in these tools, though,
Yeah, that
or every SolidWorks and PDM
yeah,
organization.
everybody's
You know?
using PDM. I would think like the dashboard is super nice. Assigned with notification is super nice, and then that design binder. Yeah, if you're not using a change order process already, that'd be the time to really set that up, and it just makes it like a right click. Yeah, I like all that.
Yeah.
Where do they get
Now,
into the other apps? If there's other niche ones.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna point everybody here. If you go over to the MLC CAD Systems website, I want to make sure I leave people with the opportunity to do some additional research. But if you go to our regular old website, you can hover over CAD, and then you can go to data management, and the EQUIVAQ PDM apps are going to show up there.
Okay.
You can visit the online store as well. So this has some verbiage you can read too, and then visit the online store.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of other
So
stuff.
these are all the additional kinds of tools. There's even a handful of free tools there that you can download as well. So check those out. Um, One of the other ones that's I think is quite valuable because we hear a lot of people talk about it. It's like interconnecting different softwares is becoming very high on people's radar.
Sure. Yeah,
Everybody I talk to wants to integrate with their ERP. Okay,
absolutely.
awesome. This tool can help you do that. And what I mean by that is if your ERP system is running on top of a SQL database, well, so is PDM Professional. So this add-in will run as a task, so you can tell it where to run in your workflow, and it'll extract the bill of material, and it'll
Uh-huh.
place it into a database for an ERP system to be monitoring if it needed to be. But it stands for extract, transform, load. The transform is if you need to build in an aliased list, for instance, like if your ERP system calls it part number, but your PDM calls it part
Oh yeah,
no,
which it's going to be the
you
case.
can you can make it, yeah, you can make
Yeah.
it change that for you.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I definitely see a lot of, especially on bombs, manual input into some ERP systems, even though, you know, PDM has the open API, you could put the hooks in. But I guess they both need to be SQL databases for that to work.
Yeah, yeah, either that or some capability of the ERP to pull from a SQL
Okay. Yeah,
database.
okay.
That's kind of the intent there.
Yeah.
This other one here is a PDM Auditor Pro, and this is one that a lot of folks appreciate, and I'll explain why. Some people that are or some organizations that are in very high security kinds of organizations, they're concerned if people were to like locally cache a bunch of data and kind of run off with it,
Oh, sure.
right? That's a concern of theirs, data security. What that auditor does is it allows you to set a cache threshold. So that means that if a particular user were to cache greater than X amount of files at one particular point in time, uh,
Ah,
then the PDM admin would be notified of it via email.
that's pretty slick. Because I mean, I know you can set
Huh.
PDM to clear cache on logout, but you have to log out to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a nice. We've actually had a couple of use cases where, some companies that we've worked with have just been like, man, we caught somebody who's trying to run off with a data set. Like we're never gonna not have this tool anymore.
Yeah.
And you can set it up pretty easily.
That's nice.
Let me see if this is gonna crash or not.
Yeah, when you do it live is the time it's not gonna work.
Always. So here's how you could set that kind of thing up. Like here's the cache alert, and you can designate which email addresses it sends to.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
Believe it or not, so right now, this is kind of a poke, kind of a jab at PDM. Right now, you have to have an email relay in order to send a mail notification inside of PDM Professional.
Mm-hmm.
With this tool, you can actually just call out the email server and just go straight to the SMTP. So this has a built-in relay. Anyway.
Hey, that's handy.
I
mean, I wonder if this is going to fit for, so many people working with CMMC certification right now. It's a big reason I see people jumping into PDM right now is, trying to maybe get to level 1 or 2 certification.
Right. That's a hot topic for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do, I think it could absolutely help facilitate that. Now, one of the other things that you can do here is you can pull, quick information as well with this PDM auditor. You can see by the day, pull reports on. It's not as developed of a reporting tool as the dashboard, but it can give you some good info in there as well.
Yeah, and so
I just thought I'd showcase that.
Like a complete customization, right? Like I imagine we provide a couple of laid out dashboards, do some tweaking, but I imagine if you know how to query SQL, you could put any of that information in.
Dude, so we can do a little bit of a deeper dive. I built this dashboard right here from scratch. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I'm a trained SQL expert either. Okay? So I'm going to showcase what the dashboard designer looks like.
All right,
I think that'll be
let's take a look.
Yeah,
I don't want to take up even more of your time. And honestly, I bet we could do another one of these, like another live, and we could dive pretty deep into these. But I am interested to take a look at it.
Maybe this is just a taste of it right now. All right. So what I'm going to do is open up that dashboard that we were just looking at, the change the manager one. The way you can build this stuff out is there's a method that you can use to create a new data source, right? So you can walk through all of that kind of stuff, select whatever database you're working with. In this case, I'm just going to pick that particular, there it is. We can hit next. So you can either run what's called a stored procedure, which is where you're building on a SQL query and then you're saving it within the database of your vault, or you can build a query. So there is a built-in query builder.
Okay.
So this is pulling up all the tables inside of your vault's database.
I'm already intimidated.
And this'll okay, and this is why I'm bringing this up. It's because anytime we sell this tool, we're going to include an onboarding where we teach you how to build queries. Okay. And if needed, if you want to develop a particular dashboard, that may require some additional configuration that can be scoped out accordingly. But at the very least, we're going to include installation and activation of this tool along with an onboarding where we're going to teach you, hey, this is how you can pull in these sorts of things. Now, one of the things that I've done, and I'm gonna play on the fact that, like, hey, everybody's talking about AI nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was I plugged in some information into ChatGPT. Okay. And what I've got is the $20 a month premium version. Okay. I'm kind of bougie. So that allows you to build a project. So what I can do is I can place in like a PDF. I have a best practices document for querying the PDM database.
Okay.
So this tells ChatGPT how to query this.
Yeah, I could see it now.
And then I can plug in instructions. I'll be like, hey, I don't want to edit anything. Do this in a safe manner because I don't want to modify the dang PDM database. I just want to display stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't recommend just going buck wild, guns a-blazing. Know a little bit about what you're doing, but you don't have to be a SQL expert in order to do this sort of thing.
I mean, that's a clever...
Dude, so just to showcase what I was doing, I'm taking pictures. I'm taking screen captures of what SQL Server Management Studio is giving me whenever I try to run something. And if it's wrong, it can correct
That's so
itself.
nice.
Okay? So I wanted to show this to kind of take away from the intimidation value of like, man, we don't have an in-house SQL expert. How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Well,
I,
this is one way. You can also lean on
yeah,
MLP
obviously,
as
like
well.
we're
So,
here to support you.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty
Don't
clever.
don't blow up your PDM vault. Back up your stuff. If somebody tries something and breaks their PDM vault, it's not my
Yeah,
fault.
hit our website, our tech guides for backup procedure. Run that first.
Yeah, back up before, and then you'll be
Yeah.
safe.
Oh, that's cool, man. I mean, I use the same thing for Excel. I use the same thing for SOLIDWORKS macros. I haven't got into SQL with it
Yeah,
yet, but I don't know. Maybe this dashboard, it might be in my near future.
yeah. It's I was pretty impressed because look, I've done a little bit of SQL querying just from being a PDM application expert,
Yeah.
but I'm not a master of SQL by any stretch of the imagination. But
Me
I
neither.
built this awesome dashboard with it. You know,
Yeah, that's pretty slick. That is really cool. Well, cool, man. I'm gonna
so
let's see. I'm gonna give you your screen back for a second here, but I appreciate this. This was like pretty enlightening for me. I think maybe I'd like to do another one of these down the road and get deeper into stuff like how to customize these. If you're game for it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite
Yeah, man.
and hope this was helpful to someone. I know for a fact, we've been seeing some good outcomes achieved. I'll put it that way with some of the folks that we've been working with.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where it's like, man, you don't know that you could benefit from this if we don't do our diligence and like get the word out and educate people about it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's only,
that's the way I'm viewing this.
I agree. I mean, it's only something from MLC, so you don't see it across the internet. You don't see it get blasted out. It's proprietary. So, yeah, I appreciate you putting this
Yeah.
out here. And yeah, if you guys need anything in the chat, drop us a line, hit our website, shoot me or Jared an email. We'll be happy to help.